Welcome to my very first Better Call Saul Season 2 episode review video, as this is now the Season 2 premiere. Before I get into that, though, pretty important, if you're not caught up to the point where I am in rewatching or watching Better Call Saul, or you're just not entirely sure, then you definitely need to take the initiative and pay attention to the episode's title, which of course I'll mention, as well as put in the description. If that happens to be the case, you found out you're not caught up, it would be my recommendation that you don't watch this video any further to avoid any potential spoilers. In case you were wondering, I've already seen Better Call Saul all the way through at least one time. In fact, I actually did episode review videos of Season 6 once I got caught up. Well, I did them all, but I got caught up to watch live episodes, Season 6, Episode 4. So if you want to jump ahead a bit, and you've seen every single episode of Better Call Saul, I would click right here with about 20 seconds left to go in the video. That's the end screen, and that'll be the link to my Better Call Saul Season 6 episode review videos. But I wanted to rewatch this show because it's a really good show, and I want to see where it ranks on my all-time favorite shows of all time. But I was binging it before, and I'm only watching an episode or two a week. So with all that said, join me on the journey, and let's discuss this awesome and amazing show. This will be Better Call Saul Season 2, Episode 1. The title of this episode is called Switch, and this will be my review, reaction, recap after just finishing watching the episode. So we do what the show starts off with, what it does at the beginning of each season. We have a scene that takes place after Breaking Bad in the future, with Jimmy as Gene heads out to a mail dumpster to take out the trash. Remember, he works at the Cinnabon as a manager. The door closes behind him, locking him in the room with the dumpster. An emergency exit is available to Gene, but a note indicates that the police will be contacted immediately if it's opened. Instead of using that option, he waits 2.5 hours until a member of the cleaning crew opens the door for him. While waiting for help, Gene carves a little message into the wall with a loose screw, and it reads, S.G. was here. So Saul Goodman was here. Then we go back to where the show takes place as Jimmy is deliberating with himself in the courtroom parking lot. Kim and Howard are waiting to introduce him to his potential employers from Davis and Maine. After a moment, Jimmy strides into the courtroom and greets Clifford Maine, a senior partner from Davis and Maine, and his two associates. Before the conversation can continue, he pulls Kim aside and asks if things would change between them if he takes the job. A surprised Kim responds with two things: have absolutely nothing to do with each other, which he accepts. He returns to the group and tells them he must remove himself from consideration by Davis and Maine. He smiles and walks away, leaving everyone stunned. Back in his Suzuki, Jimmy pulls up to Mike's toll booth and asks why he didn't keep the $1.6 million they had stolen from the Kettlemans. This is a scene that we already saw at the end of Season 1. Mike replies that he was hired to do a job and he did it. Jimmy considers this, then responds with conviction, I know what stopped me, and you know what? It's never stopping me again. With that vow, Jimmy drives away. Jimmy arrives at the nail salon and greets Mrs. Wynn and her employees. He heads straight to a cucumber water dispenser reserved for customers only. After a familiar chiding from Mrs. Wynn, when he grabs a cup, he defiantly drinks straight from the spigot. He strides to his backroom office, then tears the sign reading James M. McGill, Esquire, off the door. Later, Mike waits in the parking garage when an outrageously painted Hummer H2 drives up. Price is in the driver's seat, ready to take Mike to a meet with Nacho. Mike admonishes Price and offers to drive his car instead, but Price refuses. Since Nacho has been coming alone, Price feels confident handling the job solo, and that's when he no longer requires Mike's services. His warnings falling on deaf ears, Mike walks away at the abandoned power plant. Nacho hands Price an envelope and admires the Hummer. Flattered, Price invites Nacho to check out the interior while he counts the cash nearby. Once inside, Nacho secretly peeks at the vehicle registration in the glove compartment, noting Price's real name, Daniel Wormald, and home address. Jimmy realizes in a posh hotel pool his cell phone I should say Jimmy relaxes in a posh hotel pool. His cell phone rings, but he informs the caller that he no longer practices law. A peeved Kim appears and demands to know why he walked away from the best opportunity of his life, and he explains that he simply decided to be himself. Not amused by Jimmy's behavior, Kim tells him to meet with her at the hotel bar. There, Jimmy tries to order shots of extremely expensive Zafiro, I don't know how to pronounce it, Zafiro something tequila, but Kim chooses to get a reasonable price drink for herself, and she's going to pay for it, her and Jimmy. And then she urges Jimmy to give Davis and Maine a chance, but Jimmy explains that he is going to follow his own instincts instead of living by Chuck's rules. To illustrate this point, he asks an obnoxious wealth manager named Ken to help him settle a debate with his sister, played by Kim, about recent inheritance. Now, this Ken character was actually in Breaking Bad. I don't remember what season it was, but he was driving a car and he pissed Walt off, and Walt blew his car up. So just remember Ken offers to consult the supposed siblings, Victor and Giselle, warming to the charade. Kim asks Ken if he's ever tried the Zafiro tequila. He orders a round of shots. After several hours with all three drinking the entire bottle of tequila, having ordered food, the siblings sign a contract allowing Ken to invest the fictitious inheritance. Jimmy tries to pay the bill, but Ken, playing right into Jimmy's hands, insists that he cover it. Jimmy and Kim thank him and slip out, leaving Ken to discover the astonishing tab. Outside, the two giggle over their conquest. Jimmy balls up the contract and throws it in the trash. They pause by the pool, reflecting on the fun and excitement of the scam. Adrenaline racing, Kim kisses Jimmy. The next morning, Jimmy wakes up in Kim's apartment as she gets dressed for work. Jimmy remarks that it would be great if they could have such fun every night. Kim agrees, but maintains it's not a viable option, not wanting to overstay his welcome. Jimmy follows her out. Meanwhile, two cops pull up to Daniel's house, which has been burglarized the previous night. Daniel explains that the culprit stole his expensive collection of baseball cards, and he's got a Mantle 52 tops, apparently. Noting that the vehicle, the cops inquire about Daniel's line of work. Frustrated, he tries to redirect the conversation back to his baseball cards while he goes to print a manifest of his collection. The suspicious cops notice a clearing in the mess on the floor, push aside the couch, and discover a loose floorboard. One of the cops kneels down to move the panel aside, revealing a hidey hole. He shines his flashlight in to investigate, but it's empty. Floating again in the hotel pool, Jimmy spots an easy mark too tempting to pass up. He leaves 2 voicemails for Kim, beckoning her to take another spin as his partner in crime. Left alone, he seems to lose some of his motivation for that, and after a pensive beat, he makes another call to Davis and Maine. Sometime later, Jimmy enters the lobby of Davis and Maine dressed for work. Cliff greets him enthusiastically and introduces him to his new co-workers. Jimmy's new assistant, Omar, details the firm's many perks, asked if there's any wall art or office supplies he could order to make him feel more at home. Jimmy tentatively puts in a request for a Cocobolo desk, the kind that he told Kim that he would put in his office one day. Once alone, he notices a switch on the wall with a label reading, "Do not turn off." Jimmy peels back the tape and flips the switch to the off position. He braces himself, but nothing happens. He flips it back to its original position and reapplies the tape. Jimmy walks away, not ready to live by anyone's rules but his own. And that's what ends this episode of Better Call Saul. So a really good episode, and I like the fact they advanced Jimmy and Kim this episode. We don't really get much of Kim in season 1, like appearances at HHM and like her coming to the nail salon, but they actually focus on Kim Wexler for this. So I like the episode. I'm going to give it an 8.9 out of 10. Obviously, Jimmy's the character of the episode, but I always go for the secondary characters. In this episode, obviously, Kim is that character. I like the fact that they brought a Breaking Bad character into this universe again. They brought in the stock guy. I can't remember his name all of a sudden now. I believe it was Ken, who was the one that Walter White blew his car up. I think it was in season 2 or maybe it was season 1 of Breaking Bad. It was one of the earlier seasons, so really liked the episode. I really liked the change of pace for this episode, and I actually liked the scam they pulled. That was pretty cool. So you've heard everything that I had to say. Now it's your turn. If you're a fan of Better Call Saul and you want to help me out with the YouTube algorithm, please consider Hulk smashing the like button. Otherwise, I'm going to have to send Mike after you, and you know what'll happen if Mike gets a hold of you. Share the video. Put this video on any one of your social media platforms. Don't forget to sound off in the comment section about what your thoughts are on this episode of Better Call Saul. What would you rate it, and whom besides Jimmy would you give as the character of the episode? Remember to click right here for my Better Call Saul Season 6 episode review videos if you want to see those. I'll put my Breaking Bad playlist of all the Breaking Bad episodes I reviewed, every single one of them, plus ranking videos. And then last but certainly not least, don't forget to hit that sub button, subscribe to the channel, join the team, show your damn support, and be a part of something special, and you never know what you're going to see on JDev TV.